In this lesson, we'll be learning how to use two new functions. One of them is called the if function, and the if function is really what separates a computer from a calculator. It allows the computer to make comparisons and then based on the result of that comparison come up with another value, either a true value or a false value. And then the other one is second one is kind of simple. It's just a count function, and it will count up the number of numbers, or there's a count A, which will count numbers and letters. So let's demonstrate first the if function. So I have just a quick little sample here, and you don't have to do it, you can just watch. But in the first column in A1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the value. I'm just going to put in the number 100. All right. Then I'm going to put the number 90 in A2, and in A3 I'll put in 110. All right, now I'm going to go to column B, and I'm going to use the if function, and what I'm going to do is just determine whether or not the number is 100 or greater, or whether the number is less than that. If it is 100 or greater, it will say above, and if it is less than 100, it will say below. All right, and so the if function is just like all functions. It starts with the name of the function and the equal sign. So equals if. And then the first thing I put in, and notice it shows me on the little sample here, it says, what's the logical test? Well, the logical test is it greater than equal to 100? And so the logical test in this case will be, is this cell, A1, is it greater than equal to 100? All right, that is the logical test, and notice that it has a comma after it, and so I'm going to go ahead and put a comma, and now it highlights the second one. What is the value if it is true? Well, I simply want words to appear, so I'm going to put in the word above. All right, and then I'll press comma, and now I have to tell it what is it if it's not above 100. All right, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the word below. Now 100 is actually 100 and above, and so it's going to, when I press enter at the end here, it will test A1, and it's currently at 100, so it's going to say the word above. All right, it is a label, so it lines up to the left. I can change that simply by moving it over. All right, now if I fill that down just one column, I'll see that that one says below, but if I were to change this number to 190, it'll automatically switch it. So it's just calculating true or false. Is it 100 or above? If it is, say the word above. All right, you'll notice in the equation that when I have words, I put them inside quotes. But let's say that I want it to do a calculation instead. All right, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have it calculate that the person gets a 3% commission on everything over 100. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in an equals if, and in my test is going to be if it is over 100, and so if A3, all right, is greater than equal to 100, my condition or my logical test is the same, and now I'm going to do an equation. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, figure out how much is over 100 and multiply that by 3%. So I'm going to put a percent parenthesis. I'm going to click on 100, and then I'm going to say minus 100. So that will give me everything over 100. So if it's 1,000, it would be 900, and I'm going to multiply that times 0.03, which is 3%. All right, and then if it's nothing, then they get nothing. I'll simply put a 0 there for the false value. All right, and because it is $10, I'm going to get 3% of 10, or in this case, 30 cents. And of course, that would be money, and I could increase the number of decimal places, or I could move it down. But if I came over here and said $1,200, all right, I'm going to get a $33 commission because 3% of everything over 100. All right, so that is the equals if. I can say equals if and put words in if it's true or false, or I can put equals if and put an equation or values in if it's true or false. All right, the second function that we're going to talk about is the equals count. All right, and in the equals count function, all I do is I type equals count and then in parentheses, I highlight the range of cells. And what equals count will do for me is that equals count will go through the range and count only the numbers. So in this case, I have just 1 because there's only one number there. All right, if I want to change it and I put equals count A, all right, now I highlight those 3 in there. Count A counts all the alphanumeric values. In this case, the alphanumeric values are numbers and letters, and it tells me that there are 3. All right, so once again, here's our equations that we're going to use in our lesson today. First of all is the equals if, and then there's equals count, and if we want to, we can use equals count A. All right, well, let's go ahead and start today's lesson. This is going to be Excel30, and go ahead and stop the video and enter this information in the cells listed there. These are just numbers. These are sales numbers for each employee. All right, these are employee numbers, and this is their salary. All right, a lot of salespeople get what's called a salary plus commission. They get their base salary, and then they get a commission on a certain percentage of their sales. So go ahead and stop the video and enter this information and save it as Excel30 in your H drive. Okay, now that you've had a chance to go ahead and enter that information, you'll notice that the employee numbers over here, the employee numbers have different numbers of digits in them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a certain kind of formatting that'll allow me to fix the number of decimal places so that they're all 5-digit numbers. All right, in order to do that, I'm going to go up to the number dialog box, and I'm going to click on that. That's on the Home tab. And on the number, it says Format Cells, and we want to format the number. And right here on the custom is the one we want. All right, and what we want to do is we want to change the type. All right, and what I want to do is just simply put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. All right, and what that will do is it'll force all the numbers to have 5 digits. All right, so the ones that are only 4 digits long will have a leading 0 at the beginning. All right, so go ahead and click OK, and then once you click OK, you can now see all the numbers for employee numbers are the same length. All right, I'm going to line that up to the right so that the employee numbers are adjusted. Make sure your column width is wide enough so that the longest name will fit inside. All right, in column B. In column C, we have some salary numbers. We'll let you do the formatting later. But right now, we're going to calculate the commission. And the way the commission is going to work is that the person, if they sell over $10,000, they're going to get a 5% commission. All right, if they don't sell over $10,000, then they're going to get a 3% commission. So the more you sell, the higher the commission you get, sort of a bonus or incentive to sell more for the company. And so what I'm going to do is simply use an if statement. All right, and I'm going to type equals if, and then in parentheses, the logical test will be if the sales are greater than equal to 10,000. Now, I'm not going to put a comma in there. Just type 10,000. I can't use a comma because the comma separates the different values or parameters that we have inside of the if statement. So once again, equals if, and then I clicked on the sales is greater than equal to 10,000. Now I'll press a comma, and now I'm looking at what is the true value. Well, the true value would be I'm going to take the sales times 5%. And so I simply click on the sales, and I go times 5%. All right, and then I'll press comma, and we have the false statement. All right, they didn't get the 5%, but everybody gets a certain commission, and so they're going to have the sales, right, times, in this case, 3%. So there's a 2% bonus if you make it over that $10,000 limit. All right, so if the sales are more than 10,000, you get 5% times the sales. Otherwise, you get 3% times the sales. So the first person, when I press enter, they got 5%. And I can just fill down that equation. And there you have all of the commission rates. Okay, the gross pay is just simply adding the two together. So I'm going to go equals and click on the commission. Plus, I'm going to click on the salary. all right, and that would be the person's gross pay before taxes for them to calculate their pay, and I'll go ahead and fill that down. Okay, all right. Now the other new one is this equals count. You already know how to do the totals, so go ahead and you can find the totals. You know how to do the average, you know how to do the max, you know how to do the min. All right, I'll have you do those on your own. But the count, all right, I only need to do the count once. What I'm going to do is count how many employees there are. So it really doesn't matter which column I use, but I'm going to put in an equals count. All right, and inside equals count, I have to highlight the range. I'll go ahead and highlight that blank one just in case I add another employee later on. And then I press enter, and notice that it counts up that there were 7 people. All right, the remainder of the exercise is really up to you. I'd like you to go ahead and format this, make it look nice, center the heading, use the merge and center so it centers it across there. Apply some formatting to this, apply some table style in the cell styles. Go ahead and add some different styles there. Go to the theme, change the colors. All right, make it look nice. Make sure that you set your address footer. Or your footer at the bottom of the page with your name and date and the pages, all right, and have it make sure it fits and is centered nicely on the page. I'll be checking the print preview when you're finished. All right, so once again, finish this up. This is Excel 30, and either show your teacher or send it to me.